Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make this dog art. It is made from about $5 worth of material and it takes about an hour to make. I am so glad you're here to see this one. It is great. You can see it here on the light background in the dark, and I thought it turned out beautifully. The backboard's about $2.50, the frame's about $1.50, and the wood for the dog's about $1. And it took about an hour and 10 minutes to make. So as always, we start with the pattern glued down onto my wood. And as always, the patterns are available on our Etsy shop. If you're interested, the link is in the description below. And then I just begin cutting it out on the scroll saw. But before we get into it, hi, I'm Donna. Welcome to Ideas to I Did It. On our channel, we like to show you woodworking projects that we've created that have sold really well for us, that you'd be able to make on nights and weekends around your jobs that you could sell as well. We like to focus on projects that are high profit margin, at least in our opinion they are. This one cost about $5, takes about an hour or so to make. And this would sell for between $50 and $75. Our simpler wood art sells for $50, so I think this would be around $75. And it only takes about an hour to make, and it's super fun to make. So you can see we begin by cutting out all the pieces on the scroll saw. Now this pattern is probably not super beginner. It's probably experienced beginner to intermediate. It does have 50 pieces, but for the most part, they're easy enough to cut. There's a couple small pieces that are a little tricky, but for the most part, it's a user-friendly project, and I thoroughly enjoyed creating it. And I'm a huge believer in wood art. I think it's a fantastic way to show your creativity. It's a really inexpensive way to do woodwork, especially if you're going to sell it. It gives you that room to have that profit margin, and it is super fun to do. I absolutely love it, and it could be any topic you like, any topic that's popular in your area. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. We'd love to hear from you. And we do have a website, ideas2ididit.com. And we have lots of information on the site about woodworking and different projects and how our methods and our techniques. And if you sign up for our newsletter, we will email you a free wood art project. So you could give it a try and see if it's something that you like to do. So Chris and I are both DIYers. We've been DIYers our whole life, and our parents were that way. It's how we were raised. And this scroll saw that I use was actually my dad's. It has to be 40 or 50 years old. It works beautifully. It's an old Craftsman, and my dad passed away years ago. And when I use this scroll saw, I just feel like I'm with him in the shop, and I absolutely love it. And I think it is just such a fantastic way to spend your time. It's creative, it's using your hands, it's just fantastic. So we really hope you give it a try. So I'm going to move on to talking about the staining. So whenever I am staining a piece, I always think of it as light, medium, and dark. So it really doesn't matter what stains you use. I tend to use what I have on hand, and I tend to kind of mix my own stains too. But I always think of it as light, medium, and dark. And that's how you're going to start to build the shape and the dimension in your piece. So you'll see with this one, I had it planned out in the pattern that I had done. I had drawn it all out with the colors that I wanted to create the shape and the dimension to the piece with light, medium, and dark. So I'll follow that when I do my staining. And then once I have the piece stained, I should mention as well, after all these pieces are cut out, I take the time when I'm taking the pattern piece off to write the number of the pattern piece on the back of the piece. It is so important when you're dealing with all of these wood art projects, especially these more complicated ones. So here you can see this is the basis of the stain. You can see my light, medium, and dark. And you can see it really does give that dog the shape, all of the shape. Now, I'm going to take this further and I'll do some shadow work on it, but that's just something I really like to do. I've been a painter for many years, so I enjoy it. But I am going to paint on the eyes. I didn't feel I could get the shape as clean as I want it for the eyes with a cut, so I prefer to paint the eyes on. I also love to paint. So that's what I'm doing. I painted in the eyes and I just freehanded it. But again, you could easily just trace it from the pattern onto your piece and then just paint in the eyes with a bit of brown and black. So now I'm going to continue here. I'm going to use, and now doing the shadow work to really try to help build that dimension. When I do my shadow work, all I use is acrylic paint, just from the craft store or the dollar store. I use black and brown, mix it together, and I water it down. When you start building shadows, I like to start with the mix of the brown and the black, and then I'll go darker with each step. I generally do layers, and you get a little smaller with each layer. So you don't end up with an outline feel. It feels like the piece is actually really shadowing. This particular piece really took the shadows well, and it really added so much dimension. But as you can see, it's beautiful on its own. You don't need to do this part. It's just, I like being extra with this. I really enjoy doing this. I feel like this is one of those pieces that is deceptively simpler than it looks. When this was done, it was really striking and eye-catching, and it looks so difficult. It looks like a really sophisticated piece, but in reality, it is quite simple to do. And once you practice doing these shadow techniques, you can really bring it to life. And with the shadows, it really just helps create that dimension, and it gives it that pop. But you don't have to do it. Like I said, you really don't. It looked great on its own. And just using the 3 stains, the light, medium, and dark, really helps build that shape and give that dimension to the dog. I thought this particular dog looked so regal when it was done. I was really pleased with how it looked. And you can see, like, you're going to really focus on like where that ear would be over the face. That would have a heavier shadow. Under the chin of the dog would have a heavier shadow. Around the mouth, around the eyes. And that's how, if you focus on the shadow areas there, you'll really start to build that dimension. And anyone can do this. I strongly believe that. I think if this is something that interests you, and this is a hobby or a business you would like to try, I really think you should try it. It's a fantastic way to spend the time. And for the most part, I do the scroll saw work and the painting, and Chris does all of the frames and the backings for me. And we have lots of wood art on the channel. We have a whole playlist if you want to go check out some different projects, some different topics. And there's some simpler ones, there's some more complicated ones. Go check that out. And we also have a lot of just different wood projects that you can make and sell that aren't wood art, just totally different things. So go check that out. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. We'd love to hear from you. We're really trying to build this community of people who are our age, over 40, maybe over 50, and who are doing the wood art and wood projects and trying to make a little extra money. And really people who value the DIY component and that way of life, and really trying to learn and create things yourself. It's fantastic. And I should mention, there's a complete tutorial on our YouTube page for the shadows. It's a tutorial where I go through it in real time and show you how to build the shadows and create the shadows. And then you can take the process and put it towards any of your wood art projects. And there's also a video on how Chris creates all of the frames for our wood art. He has come up with a method of using, I believe it's 2x4s, and he creates these beautiful frames. They're, I think, $1 or $1.50 each to make, and they look incredible. And by doing everything by hand and being able to offer a completely handmade product, it's just such a great selling feature, and it really helps to really build that profit margin. So you can go check those out. I will leave the links in the description as well if you want to go look at those. I strongly recommend it. The frames are fantastic. I absolutely love them. So we really hope you're enjoying all of this. If there's any suggestions that you have or any project you'd like to see, feel free to leave that too. We're always open to that. But we're getting to the end of this one now. I'm almost done. I tend to always have time for one more shadow or one more blend before I consider the piece done. But as you can see, it is pretty much finished, and it turned out, I thought this one turned out so nice. So that's it on the background, and then that's it on the white. And we hope you love it. Thanks so much for spending time with us. Have a fantastic day.